I don't want to go off on Kurt Cobain, but Kurt was special, and his stomach pain, you know, acid reflux, I have a nephew that has it, but some react completely crazy to it, you know. And I think he was in probably the same kind of pain that Charlie Parker was in, because Charlie Parker complained about acid reflux and went the same route. But I think at one time, Kurt tried to get as much marijuana in his system as they possibly could. And then he just switched over to harder stuff eventually. He did sleep at ERs, and don't know if he got pain management at the ER. Probably did. He was up in Seattle, or he was up in Washington, or it's really Olympia and all in that area. So they may have treated it back then. This is like early 90s, maybe late 80s, probably more like late 80s. There might have been something they gave him, and he kept on going and kept on going, and then he kept a journal to Jesus. So listen, people react to pain differently. You know, some, they can't take it at all, you know. And Kurt, you know, there's a lot of documentation, and he'll even talking about the amount of pain that he could not, you know, the threshold was weird. It was all messed up. This is like acid reflux, which it can get bad. There can be vomiting and things like that. But he went full on. Kurt was full on everything that he did, even in his performance. He didn't just kind of play the guitar. You knew he was playing the guitar. You knew he was making it up right then in some of his solos, especially when in Dallas, when he got hit by Verbarklem. Turner hit him for Verbarklem. Anyway, he hit him because he was annoyed and took his guitar and smashed it on Turner's head, and because he was crowd surfing all weird and wasn't controlled right. And I think the rumor is he just ran off in the bathroom and shot up with somebody or something, and it was really bad. So he was full on. And if you see that video, that whoever took that's genius. Whoever took that video, you can see him fall kind of over. He goes into the solo. He did it with his right hand. His solo would have been with his right hand. It's like that, you know. It was just a nonsense solo, but you know, they still could keep the beat. But I know that solo was made up right there. And then it was what it is with Kurt. It was performance. It was a performance. So he was about the music. Don't get me wrong. He had some great little licks, but boy, he could perform it. You know, I mean, just flip the F out. So he was full on, and that's that can be a problem. The idea, I guess, Nirvana, maybe if they called themselves Buddha, which they may have. But he was more full on than that. But he would just, you know, he wasn't as structured as that kind of dance, but it was just like, I can't explain it really. I've seen some of the videos. I know how he got. And he'd get a little mad. I knew some guys like that. I'm not going to torches. What am I talking about? I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. I think Adam is a little bit like that. Adam the Woo and his vlogging. And when he puts all this stuff together, he likes to describe things. He likes to find what he's describing, and he full on describes it. I feel like Adam, like, for example, let's say if I covered something, like, let's say the online, not online McDonald's, but it's like the drive-through McDonald's that we did, right? And Linda flipped out. She got full on that. So I must have hit a little gold mine. What it is it's a McDonald's that's just drive-through and stand-up only. There's no seating, and there's no eatery like dining room table thing. So it's one of the first. There's a few others scattered supposedly. I don't know for sure unless I go there, but ours is a full-on one. So there was something we were getting on, and she was getting kind of nervous. She can feel it. She can feel the energy of it, and they're almost speaking in tongues, nervous kind of thing, which Linda will do. She'll go into speaking in tongues, which I think that's great for the band. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for improv. I'm looking for a person that can talk. She's very clear, so it's very understandable. She doesn't say hello. She goes, hello. You know what I mean? So, like, if you hear someone, they pick up the phone, hello, that she doesn't always do that. She does it sometimes, but she'll go, hello. Okay, that's big time, like, performance, you know. But it was just a gold mine, because when I have no idea. I picked that up. Oh yeah, that's freaking yogurt. When I found her, she seemed shy and introverted, so I was not getting that message. I was thinking, I wanted someone that could maybe help me, back me up, maybe someone that had a little singing talent, and that's all I needed. Come on, let me in. Let's see. A little singing talent is all I needed. I didn't need a whole lot. I did not need an opera singer. And then all of a sudden she bust out with these songs, man. I never in a million years, sorry, I got yogurt in the back of my throat. In a million years, I never would think that she would come up with a song like She Passed Out and stuff like that, because I know that song's great. It's a really good song. And so I was just like, okay, I could just play. Finally I could play a riff and she could go at it. And man, I'm telling you, songwriting, it's like Thomas Wolfe kind of hard. You can't, if you're going to put it to like a melody and timing and beating and rhythm, you got to tweak it and tweak it and tweak it until you're like, oh, okay, that'll work. Supposedly Kurt Cobain would write it on the spot, so he was going fast. I heard that that's true. He wrote it on the spot. Some can. I think she's like that. She just listens and goes with it. Let's do it again. Well, the only other option, at least it would be evens, which I think sometimes I might do that. Yeah. Delivery maintenance is important, and the oil change being $92 for an oil change. Now, this is not probably at every place, but they have a certain patent for Kia. Kia has a patent filter. So I'm going to say at fully synthetic, 7,000 safe. I said, well, is it safe for 7,000 miles for the interval of the change of the oil? And they said, no comment. Okay. Then I said 5,000. They said that's what we recommend. So no comment. Some probably are doing 10,000, but I don't know if I'd push it that much. 7,000 is about right for, I think, a service vehicle. Now, there's probably a reason for it. It's because you're running the service vehicle constantly. It doesn't sit around. It may change differently. You know how, like, you run a dog every day or you exercise every day. It's kind of like more in shape. So you can go, sometimes you can go a little bit longer without food when you're exercising. Sometimes you don't even take as many calories in than if you're sluggish and you're not exercising, because you don't have time to take as many calories in. Let's say if a person on average takes 2,000 calories, but they're exercising all the time, they may cut down to 1,800 to 1,500 calories. Now, when they get ready for the run, let's say like a marathon, they're going to take in a great amount the night before. But a lot of us think, well, got to get ready for that marathon. And then we barely even walk, up the stairs that much, Self-control is like the key to like everything, It's the key to everything, in respect of yourself and others. Self-control is like the most important. When I was at the studio, Bob told me, you have some talent, you need to work on self-control. And I knew from there it was going to be quite the journey. A person that has self-control issues, they're sometimes the most challenged They may be able to read an encyclopedia and understand all of it, but without that self-control, under control, they're going to struggle intensely. I probably wouldn't say that Kurt had Tourette's, but I didn't see any signs in the interviews. But man, some Tourette cases that are mild, they're really good at covering it up. Movie called Niagara. It's a great movie, and it's about Tourette's. The woman should have won an Oscar for sure, and she didn't. I don't even think they nominated her. It was a crying shame, because that movie should have won Best Picture for sure, 100%. Niagara is a great movie with Henry Thomas. He's a guy that was in E.T., Spielberg's E.T., and he worked with this lady, Toonie. I'm hearing the name Toonie, but I have to look up her name. She's not real popular, but she's been on some kind of TV show kind of stuff, and they ripped up this movie and made it like the best thing since sliced bread. It's really an important movie. I highly recommend it all the time. Niagara. But Tourette's, excuse me, it's a thing that, you know, like Toonie, you know, does this, you know, this kind of thing with it, and it's physicalized, you know. Sometimes it's vocal only. There was a guy that had it when I went to the new school in New York, and I was at the Actor Studio Drama School, and he had it like noticeably badly, if that's the English. He had it with extreme prejudice. Well, not extreme prejudice. He had it. It was very well developed in him. So, you know, when this other guy down here that does the worshiping has it. But he would be like, Mother F-R-U-N-G-D-S, mother. And he's wearing these, like, Walkman. Back then, I had my Walkman, too. The Sony Walkmans. So, it was almost like a disguise, like a mask. The Walkman, they're from Tennessee right here. And, Tennessee, and we were just like, what in the world? But people liked him. He was well dressed. They dressed him well. He couldn't work, not in like any of the coffee shops or in that kind of environment. But man, was he a loud one. And you'd hear him in the morning. You'd have maybe your coffee, and you'd be walking along, and boy, there he was. Mother effer, I walk out, you say you're right. Now, businesses would call, he'd be escorted off their property, but there are businesses that put up with him to a certain extent, and I think we need inclusion for Tourette cases. Now, they'd have a card. I think recently Joaquin Phoenix addressed the issue and won Best Actor for The Joker. That was kind of a Tourette's case, a guy that had a problem with laughing. So he used Tourette's as a way to laugh. But it's an extreme emotion. The brain gets kind of it gets emoted. It gets full of electrical units, and it gets I'm trying to think of the right word. It gets overloaded, like a computer getting overloaded, and it has to spew. Some see this as a spiritual thing, because Linda also will go into tongues. But I'm going to get this bridge right here. Ultimately, let's see if this is it right over this way. Over here. There we go. Ultimately, it can be badly self-medicated, and alcohol can seep in there. Now, I don't know what they treat with Tourette's. I've heard, I've been treated with several, almost all of it. I've gone through all of it. From Zoloft, Prozac, full dose of lithotabs. I think there's one, this was back in my 30s, and then maybe late 20s, a little bit of Prozac, and then going into my 30s, it was like a full cocktail dose of stuff for a long time until they removed it piece by piece. There's one called Cope and something, and I cannot think of the proper name of it. I want to say Cope, but it kind of makes you have, it had made me have a restless leg all day. And I smoked at the time. The doctors didn't mind me smoking at the time, but I don't remember the name. And if you can think of it, it's under. You can put it under a comment. My sister's a nurse, so she would know. She knows it like whenever I start going through this, my sister's like, it's this name and it does this, and she knows the chemical compounds and to some of it. Depakote. It's called Depakote. Depakote is mostly for seizure. It's anti-seizure, but I think they've treated it with Tourette's, because what happens in a seizure is they go into electric kind of, their brain just goes, and they go into the seizure, and it depends on the level. Depakote reduces that. Depakote also can help psychologically. Let me see if I'm going the wrong way this way. It can help in, I guess you could say, psychiatry. I don't recommend any of this at all. I'm not a psychiatrist, and I don't recommend any of it at all. I think it's all wrong. But I don't know if Niagara the movie talked about it, but a lot of times they go without it because it has physical repercussions that are sometimes cruel. I don't know if that actress really had a version of it, but I'd never seen a better performance of it. And they just be like, no nomination. Maybe she was. I don't know. I have to go back and look. Jennifer Tooney or something like that. Niagara addresses it. Only it has a whole plot, and they're running to Niagara. But why inclusion is not more in society? You can pull out a card and go, listen, I know this is crazy, but because of this disorder, all right? And people just, as long as they're 6 feet. Yeah, it can be loud, but life is not perfect. We're going to get a shot of this beautiful field. And there's some bluebonnets right there. Isn't that nice?